President Deniz A. Erdal. Thank you for joining us for the third episode of the Fireside Cast. Today, we're in the WARL for a special episode regarding homecoming. I'm joined in the studio by Thomas Ray, a student council member representing the class of 2021. Hello, Thomas. Thanks for joining the program.
No problem, Dennis. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good.
So, Thomas, can you explain to us a little bit about how the 80s theme was chosen for homecoming this year?
Sure, Dennis. So last year was homecoming, and student council decides what the theme will be every year. And so every week we have a meeting, and last week we had a meeting about the theme for homecoming. So what we do is the leaders of the student council propose a few ideas for themes, and student council representatives get to add on to the ideas and say their opinions on what it should be. And then after this is all done, we take a popular vote on what the homecoming theme should be, and this year it was decided that it should be 80s, which I think is great. I love the 80s theme. It should be lots of fun.
Yeah, I think it's a very nice theme as well. I know a lot of people these days look back with nostalgia towards the 80s, and I think it would be a very interesting event. I personally haven't been to a school dance yet, but I would probably go to this homecoming. I'm not. I do have a prior engagement planned, but this would seem like a homecoming I would enjoy going to. I know last year there were a number of complaints regarding homecoming, in which a lot of the high school didn't really enjoy it. I didn't go to it personally. This is what I've been hearing from the public. What was your take on homecoming last year?
I personally enjoyed homecoming. I thought it was great. Gnomes is always a good theme, no matter what it's for, a homecoming dance or anything else. I enjoyed myself. I hope that my other classmates did too, and I hope that this year the 80s theme will be more of a success than the homecoming theme last year. Partially because we'll have more activities, arcade games, free food, snacks, lots of dancing, a DJ, which I think will be great. Student council has already proposed a few songs and playlists that we believe the DJ should play. So it should be a great time, and anyone who isn't going to the dance and doesn't have a date, I would recommend trying to get one real soon and real fast, because homecoming is always a great time, and I highly recommend going.
And so, are the tickets still on sale right now?
Yes, I believe they went on sale last Saturday, and I still have not bought my ticket, and I need to do that. And I think tickets are $28 for one person, so a couple will need to buy 2 tickets. Mm-hmm. So it is a little expensive, but homecoming is, you get all the activities included, so it should.
I see. Yeah. And so the cost goes towards something, I guess, paying for the DJ.
Yeah.
And you mentioned a number of arcade games.
Yeah.
Do you know what types of arcade games will be available?
We have not talked about it as the council yet, but I believe that'll be like your normal 80s themed games like Pac-Man. Obviously, everyone knows Pac-Man. Mm-hmm. It's a great game. Stuff like that. So a number of games that will be entertaining.
Will the music be 80s themed as well?
Yes, I believe so. We've already decided on a few playlists that we think will be good for the students to listen to and will be appropriate.
And I presume you won't be telling the public yet?
No. Those are kept secret until the dance.
Secret.
Yeah.
I see. So what else does student council have planned for this year? Are there any other events that student council organizes throughout the year?
Throughout the year, student council does a number of projects that benefit the community. We help out at many different organizations. We've already done a recent project where we went and helped with the cancer survivor organization, where we served food to the survivors and their families, and that was great. It was lots of interesting stories, and so yeah. And we'll do more projects as the year goes by. So, Dennis, as a class officer, what are the class officers doing?
Well, just yesterday, on Monday, I had a meeting with Mr. Wagner and Vice President Shepard. Unfortunately, our treasurer and secretary could not attend. However, we discussed many things with the Vice President and Mr. Wagner. So we're going to start planning winter, the winter dance.
Yeah.
And we haven't, there are a number of ideas. However, we haven't necessarily planned anything yet. Something that was proposed by Vice President Shepard was bringing Socktober back. Socktober is a thing we had at Hastings. It was where during the month of October, students would bring in socks to give out to the needy, to Goodwill, so they're not, so people aren't cold in the winter months. And so we were thinking of possibly doing that service learning project here in Upper Arlington.
That sounds great. I'm from Jones, so I haven't experienced the Socktober, but it sounds like a great idea that could really benefit the community. So.
Were there any service learning projects in Jones?
Yes, we had numerous canned food drives, and geez, I can't remember much, but that was a big one that we had.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's what we had at Jones. Socktober sounds great, though.
Is there anything that you think that the class officers this year should do? Because right now, other than winter and Socktober, there really haven't been any more proposals as towards what we should do this year. Are there any ideas that you think?
Well, usually every day I go out to lunch and
Mm-hmm.
I have to scan in. It's kind of bothersome.
I see.
Do you think we should propose a new idea on how to go out to lunch and come in from lunch?
Well, I think we did discuss this a little bit on the first episode, but I do completely agree with you. It is a complete hassle to scan in and out of the building. And I think an interesting replacement option to consider would be issuing RFID badges to students so they can open all of the entrances with an ID badge. And that would be, it would be better than the current system because you wouldn't have the long lines in front of the exit. It would be easier. You would be able to enter and exit anywhere. However, I don't think it's within our authority as the class officers to be implementing these measures. It's more within the authority of the school board and the school administration.
And so these badges will just get you through any door in the school?
Well, that is the idea with an RFID badge.
And that's what the teachers have, right?
That's what the teachers have. I know they have this system at Hastings and the elementary school I went to, Greensview. Do they have this at Jones as well?
No, we had school IDs, but they were never used to get into or out of the building. We usually
Well,
just...
do the teachers have?
Oh, yes.
Yes. And so I guess the proposal here is to give that to everyone.
Yeah. I think that'd be better than having to scan in and scan out with your ID.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd also be easier to keep track of if you have it on a lanyard, because I know I lose stuff a lot. And my ID is very important because if I don't have my ID, I get marked absent for the day.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. And though I don't know if this will continue to be a problem in the future with because unfortunately we do now have the closed lunch policy taking effect, and there will be less and less people leaving the school.
Yeah.
And so in 3 years, only our class will be leaving the school to go out for lunch. So it might not be an issue in the future. And Thomas, you and I are both on the water polo team.
Yes.
And we had a tournament this weekend in Cincinnati. In my opinion, it didn't go all too well. As you know, we had a pretty bad loss against Gonzaga. What's your take on the tournament that we went to this weekend?
I thought the tournament was great for our team, and we got lots of experience, especially the younger guys who haven't played as many games. As you can probably see, we all got bad tan lines on our faces from the caps. A few teachers have pointed that out to me. But other than that, I thought all our games were pretty good. And although we lost to some bigger teams who are close competitors with us, St. Charles beat us 14-7, and Gonzaga, which is out of state, but that's all right. So at the end of the long weekend, we were all very tired, exhausted from playing multiple games. And our coach was quite mad at us. His name is John Spangler. He works at the Jones Middle School with intramurals. He's a good guy, and he was quite angry with the seniors especially. They had a very long meeting at the end where they talked about the upcoming season, what our plans are, and how we think we'll succeed and possibly win a state championship.
So just as we were leaving the water polo game in Cincinnati, the outer bands of Florence, Hurricane Florence, started to rain down on us.
Yeah.
And I know, I believe about as of Tuesday the 18th, I believe the death toll is about 18 people. And the entire city of Wilmington, North Carolina, has been cut off from the mainland. Do you have any family members, or do you know anyone who?
No, I do not, but my grandparents were from Delaware. They don't live there anymore, but we have family friends that live there. They had to evacuate. One of my friends at the high school, his sister had to leave college. Whole universities had to evacuate the area.
Which university is this?
I believe it's Delaware.
The University of Delaware.
So they all had to evacuate, which is quite scary, I believe. And with all the past hurricanes that have hit the U.S., hopefully this one is not as bad as some of the others.
Yes, and fortunately, Hurricane Florence wasn't as bad as many people were expecting it to be. I know it fell down to a Category 1 as it was making landfall. It was a Category 3 earlier, and many meteorologists were fearing that it might get stronger as it struck the coast. But even so, it did dump quite a lot of water in the affected areas, flooding many parts and cutting Wilmington off from the mainland. And so I believe the authorities have created a makeshift path to get services and supplies into the city. And there were apparently long lines at the gas stations and the grocery stores with people waiting to buy gas and food, and the people who did get food had no way of cooling it, and because the electricity is out, no fridges.
Well, how do you think the government is handling Hurricane Florence and the recovery?
Well, right now I think it's too soon to make a statement on that matter. I know in previous hurricanes, such as Hurricane Maria last year, the government's response has been criticized by many people for not taking necessary actions to prevent unnecessary deaths. I think it was a bit better with Hurricane Harvey. Yeah. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see how the government responds to this hurricane. But again, the flood waters are still rising as now the storm moves inland. It's still dumping rain, and the rivers that flow out to the ocean keep rising, and so the people there still need to stay safe and get on high ground and listen to warnings from the local authorities in order to prevent any further death or
Yeah.
injury.
Yes. And I think pretty soon here, some of like states farther west will encounter the after effects too. Like
Yeah.
I think Ohio will get some pretty nasty rain weather pretty soon.
Well, thank you for joining the conversation, Thomas.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Dennis.
Major funding for the Fireside cast has been provided by Serpent Cinematography,
Thunderstruck Studios,
TV Productions,
Ethan White,
the Combat Robot Kev Foundation, empowering robotics engineering since 2016, and from contributions from listeners like you. Thank you. If you'd like to sponsor an episode and have your name mentioned in the end slate, contact a cabinet member for further information.